All right, welcome to Live from my drum room. My guest is truly a living legend. As a member of Phil Spector's Wall of Sound band and the Wrecking Crew, keyboardist extraordinaire Don Randi has played on some of the most iconic recordings in history. The Beach Boys, the Ronettes, Nancy Sinatra, the Righteous Brothers, Elvis Presley, Sonny and Cher, Neil Diamond, the Jackson Five, Diana Ross, and many, many more. In 2015, Don published his autobiography. You've heard These Hands. It's available wherever you buy books. I'll put the links in the show notes. I'm so honored to have Don here with me today. He truly is a living legend. I love this man. So come along for the ride and please welcome the great Don Randi.
Thank you. Wow, a living legend in my spare time, you have to say.
Don, I use that living legend thing probably more than I should, but you, sir, are a living legend. God
Well,
bless
thank
you.
you very much. Thank you so much, John. And you're a living legend to all of us.
Well, thank you.
You,
Thank you.
yeah.
You're such a great friend to everyone. We're going to talk about the fact that you own the legendary iconic Baked Potato in Los Angeles, the number one jazz club since 1970, still going
Well,
strong.
I have to tell you, I no longer own it. My son owns it now. Justin has it.
That's great.
And
Yeah.
I think he does a better job at it than me too. He's great.
He is great. He is great. But I appreciate you saying that, and I'm sure he does too. But just the fact that you started, the club when you did, and had a venue for you and all your friends and peers to play at, and a showcase for so many great musicians. I remember going there when I lived in LA. I'd go there often and see Jeff Beccaro and Carlos Vega and Vinnie Colaiuta, and all my drum heroes have played
Well,
the Baked Potato.
for me, it's the same thing. And now I'm seeing everyone's kids play there, which is also I have a lot of fun with that. And I'll see Lee Ritenour's son. I'll see Larry Carlton's son. Karma Auger, who is Brian Auger's son, plays there quite often. And so does Greg Matheson's son, Miles. So
Wow.
it's fun. And I've watched them all grow up.
Yeah. I mean, what a great way to kind of a great tribute, I guess, so to speak. And that, you've seen this next generation grow up there, in the club.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
It's with all the music changes in all those years, and you see people that can carry on what you did. It's an honor for me, really. Every time I'll go down there to see somebody, and one of the kids is playing, and they were all terrific.
Yeah.
There's nobody I can say you stink. They're all terrific. They all
Yeah.
they all play, very well.
That's great. I talking about the baked potato, I was just going to share a couple of quick photos. The last time, many of us, certainly for me, the last time I saw Hal was at his 90th birthday party at the baked potato. And there's a great shot of the two of you guys there.
Yeah. My old buddy, my good
Yeah.
old buddy.
Yeah, boy. I remember there was a party there for his 80th birthday that wasn't maybe quite as I was there for it, I remember, and it wasn't maybe as big a deal, but because he was only
Well,
80.
for me, it was gigantic because there was everybody was there for the 80th, but not everybody was there for the 90th. But more friends were there for the 90th, and it was both of them were a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's always great when you see musicians get together and they're having a good time.
Yeah.
Um, do you know the story about the him coming to the club on for his birthday on the 80th birthday? What he did?
No, and I was there for that, but I don't remember the story.
Did you see him come in the wheelchair?
Now that you say, I remember it was kind of a rainy night. That's
Well, they brought him in. His tech, Rick Fauché, who did all his drum setups,
sure.
wheeled
Yeah.
him in, and everybody, Johnny Guerin, Earl Palmer, or you name the drummer, they were all there, and loads of other musicians. And they see Hal in a wheelchair, and everybody got silent because they were concerned.
Sure.
And then Rick Fauché puts him right next to where the band is, and now we start playing, and everybody's wondering what the hell is going on here. He's in a wheelchair, and finally, right in the middle of the first song, I stopped. I said, we can't continue without getting Hal Blaine up here to play drums. And now everybody's, ooh, he's in a wheelchair. And they help him out of the. You had to be there for that. They helped him out of the wheelchair onto the drums, and he's just sitting there looking, not saying anything. And my drummer was Mark Converse at that time. He handed him his drumsticks, and Hal drops them. And they go clank, clank, clank onto the floor. And now I look over, and Mark is crying. He's got
Oh
tears
boy.
coming down his face, and everybody is silent. So he bends down and hands him the drumsticks again, and Hal looks at him, and then he just goes around the drums and says, "I've been saved. I've been saved." And they wanted to kill me for doing it. I was the only one that was in on it.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't remember that. That's
Oh
yeah. That is too funny. That is too funny.
well, as only Hal could do because he had such a marvelous sense of humor.
He sure did. I'll just share this photo real quick. I remember when I
Oh,
got
what a
there.
great, yeah.
That was, I got there early and I wanted to have some time with him and we're chatting.
You
And
know something? You weren't there for the drum thing. I just realized there was another time.
okay, yeah, yeah. This
Yes, yes, yeah. So you wouldn't have known that story then. I just because I see what he's wearing in that picture, it's
yeah.
completely different.
Well, but this was classic Hal, we're chatting and someone comes up while we're talking and says, "Excuse me, Hal, but Brian Wilson is on the phone and wants to wish you a happy birthday." And I'm,
Yes, yeah,
yeah, and Don, I'm so starstruck and Hal has this almost if and you knew him better than anybody, almost an exasperated look on his face and he says, "Excuse me, John. Sorry about this." And I'm like, "Hal, no, come on. It's Brian Wilson." He gets on the phone, he's chatting with Brian, and he said, thanks, Bubby. Thank you. He said, and then he hangs up
oh, sure.
and then he said, where were we? And I said, "Oh, Hal, that's just, only Hal would get a phone call like that, besides
Yes.
yourself." Yeah.
From one of our heroes. That he's one of Brian Wilson is, to me, he was the genius of them all because of all the vocalese that he did, but also his ideas. And he'd give you a chance in doing those sessions to express yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
many times we would he'd say, "What do you think?" Or "It's not working. What should I?" He was open about that, and he was not bashful. If he liked something, he really would let you know. If he didn't like something, he'd let you know that also.
Yeah.
That's what made him so unique. He was great.
Well, I want to get to playing a little bit of Brian, a little bit of the Beach Boys in a minute, but I thought maybe we'd kind of start at the what I think to be sort of the beginning with working
Okay.
with Phil Spector and some of the work you did with him, and of course Nancy Sinatra. And was "Be My Baby" one of the first songs you worked on with Phil Spector?
No,
No, it was.
he's he
He's a
he's a
rebel.
rebel.
He's a
He's
rebel.
a
Yeah.
rebel with the Crystals, and I think the Paris sisters also in the very very beginning. I love how you love me,
Oh yeah.
and that would kind of got lost in the shuffle because the other ones were so dynamic. But
Yeah.
that was also a great record. And of course Darlene Love, she was a part of all of Phil's stuff, and I still adore her. She's amazing. And we went on from there. John, when you think about it, that made my life. We did, I think, over a period of 1 or 2 years, we did 21 million selling records. And,
Wow.
and so if you're a guy producing records, who are you going to call?
Right.
Let's call the guys who are making the hits. And
Sure.
then it just never stopped. It went on and on. For me, it went on from, I'd say, 1961 almost to the middle of 85. A lot of the guys stopped around 70, 71. I
Mhm.
just kept right on going because I blame my kids for that because they bring in the new music and they make me listen to it. So when I was in the studio, if they wanted something like that, I was capable of knowing what they were talking about,
Yeah.
which made it great for me. I enjoyed
Well,
it.
I'm glad you said that, Don, too, because you sent me the book back in 2020. I remember it was during
Yeah,
COVID, and I read it at the time, and I came back and kind of did a refresher. And what's so great about your career, what's so maybe unique isn't the right word, but you have this incredible career outside of working with Phil Spector and the Wrecking Crew. And I won't say that some of the guys like Hal only worked in that circle, but most of Hal's great work was in and amongst the Wrecking Crew work. But you were, I mean, when you look at some of the work you've done outside of that, as you said, you kept going when a lot of the other guys stopped. It's
you know,
pretty spectacular.
in retrospect, in the beginning, we were the wall of sound because of
Yes.
all. I wish I could say I was the only pianist on Phil's date. It could be me, Larry Neckel, Leon Russell. Let's see, Mike Rubini, Al DeLore. In the very, very beginning, there was another pianist that nobody ever talks about by the name of Gene Garth,
Hmm.
and once in a while, Class Johnson's brother, Ray Johnson. And so these were core. And then if you want to go into the guitar players, my God, he had 4 or 5 guitar players on those sessions. And
Amazing.
they were a nucleus basis. I think most of us were jazz players playing rock and roll.
Hmm.
And we did that to make a living. And then I loved it. A lot of the guys hated what they were doing, but that was how it. When I heard He's a Rebel on the radio and I was in my car, I said, "Oh my God, I played on that." And it was so important. And then onward and onward and onward, it just didn't stop. And Phil and I were very, very good friends in the very early days. We did everything together. Phil, myself, Jack Nitzsche, the great arranger, and Sonny Bono.
Yeah. Yeah.
We Sonny was his promotion man before he became Sonny and Cher.
Hmm.
So, and I was actually there. I'm standing in the back of Gold Star Recordings, and this old Volkswagen bus pulls up, and it stops, and the window is open. It's a guy by the name of Frank Baldwin. Now, in the beginning, there were pluggers that would take songs to producers to artists, and he was one of those kind of guys. And he had this pretty little young girl, and he says he's pushing her out the door. He says, "Don, this is Cher. Take her inside. Phil knows. He'll know what to say." I said, "Okay." So I took her inside Gold Star. That was the first time I ever met Cher
Wow.
from the back of Gold Star Inn, and she just sat there so quietly the whole time.
Hmm.
And that's when I guess she met Sonny for the very first time. Pretty
I,
wild. I think she was 17 or 18.
yeah, it's incredible. You talk about that in the book. I mean, just to be there in the room when all these incredible things happened, it's just amazing. It's
Yeah. Everybody says, "I wish I was a fly on the wall." Then, uh, you know, I'm the luckiest guy in the world to be able to be able to talk about it. Number one,
Mhm.
but also to be part of that whole watching the music change little by little by little by
Yeah,
little to a whole other thing, and not always for the good, mind you, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
But it did change, and you had to go with the flow, otherwise you didn't work.
right, right. Well, should we play a little bit of "He's a Rebel" just to have
Sure,
a little taste of
sure.
that? All right. And this was this about 1963, Don? If you had to guess, or if you
I would guess so. That's when they all were teenagers, the Ronettes.
wow, yeah. All right. Well, here comes "He's a Rebel." We'll play a little bit of "He's a Rebel," the great Don Randi.
See the way he walks down the street. Watch the way he shuffles his feet. My oh, his head up high when he goes walking by. He's my guy. When he holds my hand, I
Wow.
That's the Crystals, and that's Darlene Love mainly, and
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and the Blossoms. And in the beginning, there was I think of Darlene, Fanita James, Jeannie King, and most people didn't know that Jack Nitzsche's wife, Gracia, was part of the Blossoms in the very beginning. And
Okay. Yeah.
what a vocal backgrounds. And then, of course, the Crystals did their part of it. And then I made a mistake when I said it was the Ronettes. It was the Crystals.
The Crystals.
And
Yeah.
then the
Yeah.
next record we did was "Be My Baby" with the Ronettes. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. And you're one of my favorite songs by the Crystals is also "Then He Kissed Me."
my goodness, that's mine too. I love that one. Yes,
Yeah, and you're on that obviously, and Hal,
sure,
and yeah. Can we play a little bit of that one too? Just
sure.
this is one I'm sure everybody's heard as well. It's such a great song. We'll play a little bit. I'm glad it's one of yours too. Fantastic. Here it comes.
Well, he walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to dance. He looked kinda nice and so I said I might take a chance. When he danced, he held me tight, and when he walked me home at night, all the stars were shining bright, and then he kissed me. Each time I saw him, I couldn't wait to see him again. I wanted to let him know that he was more than
Oh
a
man,
friend.
they just don't make music like this anymore.
You know, I went to a function last night, and it's so not Devo. It's not,
Right, right. That's right. Yeah. Oh
oh my
man.
goodness, what a great record! What a great
Yeah.
record! And
What a great record.
Jack Nitzsche's arrangement on that is one of his best ones. You know, he become a very famous arranger and conductor
Sure.
and orchestrator. He was terrific, and he was a good friend. Good friend.
And basically, I mean, it was these early records with Phil Spector that really just it really launched your career as one of the key session guys.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And you know, fortunately for we all were working so much, there was enough work for everybody.
Yeah.
That's how much recording was going on. I remember one week I did 26 dates, which was unheard of. But not only that, I wrote for those dates. I had
Yeah.
to be. I was up day and night, doing arranging and then coming back because Jack Nitzsche and the other guys couldn't do all the arrangements, and they called Don. He could do this one, and that's how little by little I got in as an arranger also.
Wow.
And
Well, yeah.
yeah, it was an amazing time.
And I want to talk. I know there's some specific things that you arranged too that we'll talk about too. Some songs that we all know and love. And so, one of the questions I always want, I guess I always wanted to ask you, and Hal and I used to talk about this. Most of the sessions that you did, you had a chart in front of you, and you had to kind of probably that was follow the chart for the most part. But were there times where you got to improvise and come up with your own variation
I
on
would
it?
say at least 80% of the time it was just chords,
Yeah,
and they kind of had an idea. Most producers didn't know how to verbalize what they wanted, so you would play it over and over until they were happy. And doing that, Phil knew where he wanted to go. We basically knew what to do with Phil, but other producers, they couldn't say, or they didn't want to say, do what you did on a Phil Spector record.
hmm
Al Blaine's drum, that boom, bum, 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 that's on a million records.
yeah, yeah.
Dotted quarter eighth. He got away with it. He got away with it. And Earl Palmer, they you see, I guess you would have to say we didn't mind if they asked us to play like somebody else. If they wanted more country, you knew what they wanted. More jazz, you knew what they wanted. Hey, and you shouldn't get embarrassed about them asking you to be somebody else, because
Yeah,
that's how they knew to tell you what they wanted, and it
yeah.
worked. It worked most of the time.
That's
It was necessary, I guess. Otherwise, we'd still be there.
exactly. Yep. Incidentally, before I forget to tell you, yesterday, just by pure happenstance, I had lunch with a mutual friend of ours who you played with recently, drummer by the name of Dave Maddox. You,
Yes,
yeah, you played in Savannah with him, I think earlier this year.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, and we were having lunch, and he's a dear old friend of mine, and he asked me to send his best to you. And this is a group of us having a delicious pizza lunch not too far from me with our winter coats on. And at the same, while we're having lunch, Denny Tedesco texted me. So it was just kind of
Yes.
we were all on the same wavelength. But Dave sends his very best. It was his honor to play with you.
Oh, it was my honor to play with him. He's a great drummer. I mean,
He,
and he knows. There's another guy that knows all the genres of what to come up with.
yeah, yeah, he sure does. He's a big time, great session player.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, when you talk about, you made me think of this. In the early days, I remember it was either Earl Palmer or Hal most of the time, Johnny Guerin on occasion, and a few other guys. But then a young guy came to town. First date, I think I did. He was playing tambourine for the Everly Brothers. We did, and it was Jim Gordon. And what a
Yeah.
great drummer he was! My
Oh
goodness.
man. Yeah. Yep.
I personally think had he not been such a cuckoo, he would have taken over everybody's jobs to this very day. He was
Yeah.
that good. He was that good.
I you know I wasn't there, Don, but just from what I've heard, I I couldn't disagree with you. I mean, he had, Hal used to talk about him. Jim Keltner talks about him still. That he had it from a drummer standpoint. He seemed to have a little bit of what everybody had. He could read great. He had great chops. He had great time, feel,
Yeah, he was
creativity.
very easy to work with. That was the main thing.
Yeah.
Some of those dates would get outrageous, and you had to keep on going and going and go. Let me tell you a great story about Hal Blaine on one of the dates, because I think it might have even been "Be My Baby"
Hmm.
or one of the Phil Spector dates. We started the date at noon, and now we're about 2 o'clock. And while we're recording, there's a phone ringing in the studio. And we're all looking around. We heard it. And Phil stops. He says, I heard a phone. And in those days, there were no cell phones. There were none of that. So it was a ring, ring, and it stopped. And now we continue. Now we're in 5 hours. And about an hour later, there's a phone ringing again. And we have to stop. Now we're all wondering, what the hell is going on here? Phil says, I'm hearing a phone ringing. Where's the phone coming from? And now we go on, and finally it's ringing and ringing, and we're in the middle of some, rehearsing to get ready to make the final takes. And Phil stops and he's yelling, God damn it, what the hell is going on there? And Hal Blaine opens up his case, and there's a prop phone from 20th century he had worked, and he grabbed it, and he picks up the phone. He said, hey, Phil, it's for you. And of course, we all were on the floor because we didn't know where it was coming from. Good old
Oh,
Hal strikes again, as they say.
Hell strikes again. Only Hal could get away with that stuff too. Oh
Yep.
my God. Well, that's a great segue. What do you say we play a little bit of "Be My Baby"?
All right.
A real trademark for you guys. And what a thrill it was to hear Hal play this here. All you guys played at his 90th birthday that night. That was
Oh
just
yeah, it was fun. Good night.
something else. Yeah. Here it comes. Boy, this is just talk about a trademark, you know, song, if there ever
Sure.
was one. Yeah.
The night we met, I knew I needed you so. And if I had the chance, I'd never let you go. So won't you say you love me? I'll make you so proud of me.
Amazing.
Oh, and I listen to these songs, Don, almost every day. I listen to, these are still like the soundtrack of my life, listening to these great records.
You, it's you even recall it every time I hear it. It affects me over and over again. My memory is still there, and it makes me think of all the things that it took to get it. And here I am. What is it? 55 years later, 60 years later,
Yeah.
doing the same thing. We were back east doing a tour, and we were playing in someplace in Connecticut. I forget right now where it was. And Ronnie's husband came to us, and we did "Be My Baby." My daughter sang it with three other singers, and it was close, but it wasn't. It wasn't the Ronettes. But he was sitting there. I looked out, and he was crying. He said, he said it will go on forever. Those songs just don't end.
Mm.
And fortunately for a lot of us that were on those dates with Brian and Phil Spector in the very early days, something that most people don't realize, they were all on union contracts. So our names, pardon me, Social Security, all of that stuff was taken care of. So now when it's reused or new used, we get paid again. We call it mailbox money. And when you're an old guy like me, it's lovely to be able to. I don't care if it's for 50 cents. It's
Yeah.
something that wouldn't have gotten unless we had a union contract.
Yeah.
And
That's
and,
great.
and some of those songs are used over and over. These boots are made for walking. How many movies it's been in? How many different things? We have a new one now, Sugartown with Nancy. That's out there all playing on a commercial. A little less conversation that we did with Elvis. That we got paid $160 originally for that, and there was no song. There was no song. We made it up on the spot. Mac Davis and Billy Strange were the writers, but they didn't have one. Some of those movies when you did Elvis, they were god awful. They're terrible songs,
Yeah.
but they grind them out,
Yeah.
and we did that one, and we've made close to $10,000, all of us that were on that date, over the last 40 years, 50 years, because of it being used over and over and over again for different things.
Wow.
So there you go. If there was no union contract, we wouldn't have gotten that.
Yeah. That really exemplifies how important that is. Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think because of Phil and Brian Wilson and Phil Spector demanding that and then putting our names on albums, that was
Yeah.
never done. Those guys started it, and they forced the major labels to start, well, we better do that. Kind of interesting.
It really is. I mean, you're right. I mean, prior to that, you guys were, and I know it. Well, I shouldn't say I know this, but I'm guessing you guys were all so busy, you probably didn't even have time to think about stuff like that. The fact that your names weren't on Monkeys albums or other, the association or something. But what a great thing when all that finally happened, and we could see, you were the soundtrack of all our lives, and you should be, yeah, acknowledged for it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there's lots of things that you want and lots of things that you see change and all of that. When something really special happens, to me, it really means something.
Mhm.
And Brian Wilson did an album that he plays and sings, and it's just him singing and playing, and it was recorded in Europe someplace. And when we were on tour in Connecticut, somebody came up with that album. I said, "Well, I didn't know he did that." And he said, "Yes." He said, would you sign it? I said, "Well, I'm not on it." He says, "No, sign it." And he opens up. He says, "Sign it here." And he's pointing, and I can't see. My eyesight ain't that great. I don't have my glasses on. Thank God my daughter Leah was there, and she said, "Dad, look what it says." And it said, "This album is dedicated to Don Randi." What
Wow.
nicer, what nicer thing can you have anybody do? Somebody that you respect and honor and love playing with. And he took the time to dedicate an album. How about that?
Oh,
That's amazing. So important.
Don, that's beautiful. That's
It is.
and so well deserved. So, I'm jumping around a little bit, but you mentioned the great Jim Gordon a couple of minutes ago, and I thought I'd play a song that you guys are both on, and it's again one of my. I'm being a little selfish maybe because these are all my favorite songs, but this is, and you talk about this in the book as well. It's the Stone Ponies, and it's very early Linda Ronstadt, and I think in the book you mentioned that by the time you actually, when you recorded this song, it was really the Wrecking Crew. It was her regular band was kind of, which was often the case, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of
Except
had
for
to,
her guitar players were great. That
yeah,
were in that band. They were wonderful. Great guitar players.
yeah, yeah. But you're featured so prominently in this song in different drum, playing the harpsichord, and it's Jim Gordon, I think, on drums on this one.
Yes, yeah. I
Yeah,
think so. I don't
yeah,
remember right now. It's either Jim or Earl. I know it wasn't Hal.
yeah. Well, shall we play a little bit
Sure.
and hear these beautiful hands of Don Randi.
You and I travel to the beat of a different drum. How can't you tell by the way I run?
What a voice.
What a voice. Yeah. Beautiful voice. Wow.
You cry and moan and say it will work out. But honey, child, I've got my doubts.
But your harpsichord makes this song, Don. It really does.
So don't get me wrong. It's not that I knock it, it's just that I'm not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me. Yes, and I ain't saying you ain't pretty. I'm saying I'm not ready for any person, place, or thing to try and pull the reins in on me. So goodbye, I believe and I see no sense in this crying and grieving. We'll both live a lot
You know who
longer
wrote this, okay?
if you live
Mike Nesmith.
Like Nesmith, yeah.
Mike Nesmith. Yeah, I know. This is beautiful right here.
So don't get me wrong, it's not that I know.
Beautiful.
It's just that I'm not in the market for a boy who wants to love only me.
You know who the arranger was?
No, I was going to ask you who the arranger was.
The arranger was Jimmy Bond, great jazz bass player who
Oh,
worked for
sure.
Nick. He worked for Nick a lot, and he did loads of sessions. But he was a great musician.
Yeah.
And Nick I think it was one of the first times he had to express himself as an arranger doing that record. I'll tell you a fun story. What I think it's in the book too. I don't remember exactly, but play rock and roll Bach style is what it said on the sheet, and chords. So it was all improvised.
Yeah.
Last year, somebody took it down note for note of the little harpsichord solo I played, and I looked at it and I said, "Geez, I can't read that." And then I had to really concentrate, and then I realized he had notated exactly what I had made up, which was kind of nice,
Oh, yeah.
the copyist. Eric Ekstrand was his name, the guy that did it for some charity thing that we were doing. But he
transcribed it
so it
note
really
note
neat.
for note. Yeah. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember hearing that in the radio, Don, as a kid, and I was just captivated by the sound of the harpsichord. It was just, even years later as a drummer, that's always what I
Sure.
focus on.
Yeah, it was great. When I walked in, I said, "Who's going to play that?" They had a wonderful, and then Nick Venet said, "Well, you are." Then I started to panic. I bet you they write out some incredible line that I have to read, and of course, It just said play whatever you want, improvise like Bach would improvise on a rock and roll thing. Thank you very much. Okay.
And that's great to know, the strings, the arrangement, the string arrangement, that is beautiful as well. That's just
Yeah,
so nice. And
it is.
yeah, and moving along, you mentioned Earl,
Yes.
the great Earl Palmer. God
Oh
bless
my
him. And
goodness.
what a
Incidentally, most people don't realize that's Earl on You've Lost That Love and Feeling. It's not
yes.
Hal. A lot of people think it's Hal because he did all the dates, but that one was Earl, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's the next song in the queue that I was going to play, and I
Oh,
thought
God.
maybe you could just maybe talk about that for a second. This was Phil Spector produced this, and
The Righteous Brothers,
yeah, the Righteous Brothers, and I'm always curious, like, I've heard and I've seen the pictures of like, as you said, like so many people in the studio at the same time, and how many takes typically did it take for you guys to get what you felt or what Phil thought was, the keeper? Did they
too
happen?
many.
Okay.
Well,
I would, yeah.
he would go on and on and on, even after, pardon me, even after you had it, he would keep on going because there was something that he was looking for, some reaction of the band playing, something that he felt that was it. We didn't know what that was, so we kept doing it over and over again. Larry Levine, the engineer, at one time said, "I think he makes you play till you're exhausted, and that's when he starts making takes." He wouldn't
Mm,
let Hal or Earl play fills till the end. After we rehearse it, because when it was getting there, when you knew he said Hal play fills or Earl play fills, you knew we were getting near the end,
yeah.
so that they had the strength to play the fills because we were playing a long time, and it had very tiresome, especially for guitar players more than the keyboard players,
Hmm.
because their hands would not up. You're playing the same thing over and over again, and trying to play on those different frets. It gets to you, but it takes a long time to make those hit records for Phil and for Brian. A lot of people would walk in two,
Hmm.
three takes, and it's over with. I think the thing that we never all got used to was the line from a producer, and this happened over and over again. And the line was this: "Guys, that was fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Can we do one more?" Yeah, you're sitting there, okay. I guess it wasn't that fucking fantastic, was it? But it would
Oh,
happen, especially with horn players. Their lips would be bleeding. Come
yeah.
on.
Oh my God, I know. And you answered, I think, what my next question was going to be is, I think of Brian the same way as you say in terms of making records. And was that a direct influence from Phil Spector, or was that just?
I think when he heard He's a Rebel, no, I'll take it back. When he heard Be My Baby,
Hmm.
he thought that was the greatest record ever. And Steve Douglas, who was the contractor, was the same guy, saxophone player, was the same guy that did a lot of Brian's dates. And he told Steve, "I got to have those guys." And that's when I really started working a lot for Brian. As a matter of fact, what's the name? Help Me, Rhonda
Hmm.
is an interesting story. If you want me to go into it, I can do it now or whenever you want to hear it.
Well, what, let's play You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
Okay.
And then and I was going to move on to the Beach Boys from there. So that's
All right.
that's perfect. That's beautiful.
Okay. Great.
And Help Me Rhonda was one of the songs. So yeah, Don, we're on the same
We're
wavelength all
together.
the way. Yeah, absolutely. This song is an absolute masterpiece. I mean, again, every one of these songs we're playing today is a masterpiece. This song is so special. It's just the vocal performance, the
Bill Medley and Billy and Bobby were just
yeah,
absolutely and the greatest guys. They were so
yeah.
wonderful to work for. A couple of Orange County kids. That's what it was. They were working. They were working for years before they got the hit record,
Wow. Yeah.
and they had already done two or three albums
I didn't know
before.
that. Yeah.
They were on a little label that was owned by this Dutchman. I can't remember. And Phil, I was there when they made the contract, and sitting with Bill. I wish I could remember his name. He was a Dutchman, and the label was a Moonglow. I forget what label it was, but they had already had 2 albums out. Nothing with Latin Loopy Loo, Little Latin Loopy Loo, and a whole bunch of records that were their versions of it, and they were all great. And Phil said, "You can't. I want all those to stop." And the guy said, "No way. You want the Righteous Brothers? This is the way you get it." And they had a big falling out over it, and they almost didn't sign the contract. And then Phil says, "I want you to promise me you're not going to release those records." He said, "Of course not," which was a total lie. The minute the records, Phil, he re-released everything that the Righteous Brothers had. And Phil had, of course, Love and Feeling in their album, but the other guy cleaned up because he still had the other 2 albums.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting conversation. It was a lesson for me. In negotiating, they went back and forth and back and forth, and then signed a piece of paper. And of course, the song, my goodness, what a lyric and what a feeling it was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. It's like it's another level of everything, of production and of performance, and let's play a little bit. Here it comes. You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
You never close your eyes anymore when I kiss your lips. And there's no tenderness like before in your fingertips. You're trying hard not to show it, but baby, I know it. You lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa. Now there's no welcome look.
And that's Earl. That's Earl Palmer.
Yeah. Al, Earl had such a sensitivity to his playing. It's just
Absolutely. For me, getting to work with those guys, they're the same and not the same.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can because they can give you what you needed. What made the record. I'll tell you an interesting story about You've Lost That Loving Feeling. When the single came out, do you know what's on the backside of the single?
No.
Nobody does. It's called There's a Woman Who Plays Piano in This Old Bar. Bill Medley, Bobby Hatfield, and Don Randi, myself, wrote it. Phil loved when the singles came out that the B-side be the worst record you've ever heard, so there's no doubt which side to play. And it's a terrible song, but we did write it, and Phil put his name on it. So that means the royalties of that B-side, we got 0.
Oh boy!
And he got the royalties from it. And it sold almost 1 million singles, let alone albums.
Yeah, yeah.
So we never saw anything. And Bill Medley, every once in a while, we'll get together, and we're still pissed off about that. We should have got royalties from that record.
You should have. Yes. Well, that's a savvy, producer,
Sure.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to tell you, Don, speaking of, we were just talking about Dave Maddox. He's actually watching us live right now. And yeah, so there you have it.
Oh, wow.
All the
lovely.
cool kids are watching.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Dave. Great to see you again, pal. Yeah, I mean, that song, I could go on and on all day about that song. Just the like when the tambourine comes in, all the little nuance that happens throughout that song. It's just so special.
Sure.
And you started to mention, I think you mentioned Help Me Rhonda, and just working with Brian.
And all the guys. But there's another interesting story about it. Help Me Rhonda. I hadn't seen Leon Russell in quite a few years, and he was doing some small concert. This is after he was already a monster artist. He was doing these little clubs, and he was in a place, I forget the name of it, in Hermosa Beach. And I went to see him, and I hadn't seen him in about 20 years. And I just waited, and after he had put on so much weight, I almost didn't recognize him. I remember him being a skinny little nothing guy, and now he was 250 pounds. And I'm standing there looking at him, and he walks right by me, and I said, "Leon," and like that at him, and he turned around, and he looked, and I said, "It's Don." And then of course, we hugged one another. And as we're walking, we start talking about a bunch of things. We went back to his van, and we're sitting in his van that they were using to travel. I said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "You don't need to do this." He says, "Yes, I do." He says, "I just went through a terrible divorce, and I have to work. I have to keep going to earn." I said, "Okay, enough said. I got it." So as we're talking, he starts laughing. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He says, "I played on Help Me Rhonda." And I said, "No, you didn't. I played on Help Me Rhonda. You weren't there. There was only one piano player." He said, "No, I did it." I said, "Leon, did you over?" He said, "No. He says, "I did it 4 years before you." I said, "What?" And I'm looking at him. He says, "We did it." And Brian's father hated the song, Murray.
Yeah.
And he fucking shelved it. And after Murray passed away, they brought it back out. And it was me playing the piano on it. So if you listen to there's an album out, I think it's called Smile, that the Beach Boys did. There's two versions of Help Me Rhonda, one with Leon and one with me. So, but I kidded him. He says, "I played on the hit run. Yours was just nothing." But it's a true story. What can I tell you?
That's great. I love all this little inside stuff. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, well, we have to play a little bit of that. I mean, again, just an absolute classic. Help Me Rhonda.
Oh, yeah.
Well, since you put me down, I've been up to and in my head. I come in late at night, and in the morning I just lay in bed. But Rhonda, you look so fine, and I know it wouldn't take much time for you to help me, Rhonda, help me get her out of my heart. Help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. 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 Help me, Rhonda, yeah, get her out of my heart. She was gonna be my wife, and I was gonna be her man. Come on, Rhonda. But she let another guy come between us and I shared our plan. Come on, Rhonda. Oh, Rhonda, you caught my eye, and I could give you lots of reasons why. You gotta help me, Rhonda, help me get her out of my heart. Help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. 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 Help me, Rhonda, yeah, get her out of my
Incredible. It's masterful. Those guys, and they were mad at it with the studio musicians because they all wanted to play their own stuff. But Brian knew better. He could get it done quicker using
Yeah.
us, and those guys could be on the road. And then Brian didn't want to travel that much anymore. He liked being in the studio.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
When we did, it's for me, thinking back of all those dates, it was so much fun and a lot of work. And they liked certain studios, and we were back there at East. It's now East West. It was called United Western in those days.
mhm.
And that one room, which had hit after hit, not only for the Beach Boys, for a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
Great room,
Yeah.
great room.
Well, when I think of the other big Beach Boys songs you played on, and with I want to say this as respectfully as I can to the members of the band, but they couldn't have. I can't imagine, Don, they could have made those records without using you guys, the Wrecking Crew. You know, I mean,
I
they,
I
yeah,
totally agree. I totally
yeah,
agree. It was guys that worked together. Nobody was any different. We were a unit, and the guitar players were like Glenn Campbell was one of them, Tommy Tedesco, Dennis Budimir, Howard Roberts, Barney Kessel, and then loads more. I mean, 20 more other guys,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
keyboards were on when we did Good Vibrations, 3 months on one tune. We would
Amazing.
stop, come back, stop. Somebody else would come in and stop. And what a masterpiece! What a masterpiece. Capitol Records didn't know what to do with it, and when they heard that Pet Sounds, the whole Pet Sounds album.
Right.
Can you imagine starting a song? I may not always have loved you. Gee, that's a love song. The
Yeah,
greatest songs of all time. God only knows.
I
Come
know.
on.
I know. I mean, those two songs are excuse me, they are up there, in the pantheon of just the absolute greatest.
Sure.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, let's play a little bit of that too. God only knows. That's
One of my
just
favorites.
me too, man. His lyrics are just, yeah.
French horns.
I know. Listen to that.
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you. If you should ever leave me, well, life would still go on, believe me. The world could show nothing to me. So what good would loving do me? God only knows what I'd be without you.
This change right here.
You know the story of that, don't you? Right
No,
there?
no, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. We kept doing that over and over again, and it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And Brian and I get into an argument over it. I said, it was too much too legato. It was ba da 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 da. And I said, Brian, it's got to be short. And he said, no, no, 10 minutes. And finally, I said, try it one time. And that's what it
And that's that.
So years later, he's in it. They're doing a biography of him, and he says that was Don. Don made me do it like that. So I said, oh, finally, he realized.
Wow, that's
It was
great.
really nice.
That's
Really nice.
beautiful that he gave you the credit for it. That's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. And this, I'm going to just play the last minute, the vocals, the whole, this part right here is just.
God only knows what I'd be without you. God only knows what I'd be without. 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 God only knows what I'd be without.
That's
It's amazing. It is. Every time you hear it, for me, I discover something else. But
yeah,
I'll tell you what, that snare drum sound that Hal Blaine got, nobody got that sound.
yeah.
It was always crisp. And something else that Hal would do that a lot of guys didn't do, most of them didn't, he'd hear something in the song, and out would come the drum key, and he tuned the drums to give it that facility to be in total what everybody else was playing. So the sound of the drums was much more musical many times because of the harmonics that come off the drums. Don't interfere; they join, and
Yes. Yeah.
that was a secret Al used all the time. That drum key would come out, and no,
And he
Al
would
could
too.
sing. He had a really nice Sinatra style singing voice. He would have loved to have done that or be a stand-up comedian. I don't know, one or the other.
Yeah, he did have that baritone sound in his voice. It was
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, with
yeah,
that. Oh, hello, Don. Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful. Well, that's yeah,
What a
and
big-
I've heard that before that he would come in and he would tune the drums to the particular song
yeah,
of that, and what a great concept to really kind of support the song, in every
yes,
way he could.
sure.
Yeah.
It's called intelligence. he,
Right.
he was very very smart about stuff like that, making it easier for the producer. A lot of guys, in the very beginning, people don't give the engineers enough credit with mic placement.
Mhm.
I mean, everything was mono in the very beginning. There was, one track. So you had to have an engineer that knew where to place those microphones to get, and things changed during the day. They'll try something, but
Mhm.
generally speaking, they knew where to go with it. And thank God for that, because otherwise we'd still be there recording.
Yeah, yeah. Well, just staying on the Beach Boys for a second, you mentioned Good Vibrations, and we have to play a little bit of that because it's such a masterpiece. I mean, I would call it. I think you would too. The crown jewel of all the Beach Boys' work, of all of Brian's work. It's just God only knows is right up there. I think, but this is just incredible.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, that's for sure.
Yeah, and again, what a just to think that you were in the room, you were there when all these incredible songs were made.
Let's listen to some of it, and then I'll tell you a really funny, great story about it.
Okay, you got it. Here it comes. Good
All right.
Vibrations.
I love the colorful clothes she wears and the way the sunlight plays upon her hair. I hear the sound of a gentle word on the wind that lifts her perfume through the air. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. She's giving me
What a great record.
Oh man.
good vibrations. Close my eyes. She's somehow closer now. Softly smile.
That's on the Hammond B3.
Yeah. Yep.
In her eyes, she goes with me to a blossom room. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. Excitations. Good vibrations. I don't know where, but she sends me there. Elation. vibrations are happening with her.
And this record is not 2 minutes long. It's
No,
a
I
long
know, I
record.
know. I can't find a spot where I can stop it. It's just too great.
Well, that spot that you stop kind of bringing it down in is where my story starts.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, now Brian can't see me. He lets the rest of the bit. We had already been working for close to 9 hours. And he says to the guys, take a break. I just need Don. But I'm behind these baffles, so he cannot see me at all, playing the Hammond B. But I'm only playing one note, a low F on the foot pedal with my foot. Oh, oh, it's in there, and then he's writing on top of it all the high part. But that's all I'm doing is holding the one note over and over and over again. And I'm just sitting there, and now I'm tired. I'm nearly sleeping, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, he lets the band go. He says, keep doing it, Don. I keep doing it. And he said, just a second. And he clicks off. You know, he's talking to me through the talkback. So he can't see me. To reiterate, there's a pillow right next to me that we used to sit on because the chairs were so hard for those Harman B3. I grab it and I put it on the foot pedal and I lay down with my head holding that same note down, the low F. Brian can't see me, so he doesn't know that. And I'm laying there. He says, all right, here we go. I'm fast asleep. I fell asleep. The minute I laid down there, I went out. And about 10 minutes or 15 minutes later, I hear, Don, thank you. That was great. Thank you. And I jump up, and Hal Blaine could see me through the window. And he said, did you have a nice nap? I said, I did. Well, Brian didn't know this at that time. 5 years ago, I get a call from Brian. Don, I got a question for you. I said, what is it? He says, is it true? I said, is what true? He says, did you fall asleep on Good Vibrations? I said, you're goddamn right I did. And he cracked up and I cracked up.
Thanks for watching part 1 of my conversation with the great Don Randi. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to watch part 2, which will drop Tuesday, December 23rd. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit livefrommydrumroom.com for all the latest news. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon. All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows and information on purchasing Live From My Drum Room t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. The link is also in the show notes. And you can contact me through my website or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon.